We will call the regular meeting of Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Douglas,
Here.
Ms. Hayes,
Here.
Mr. Horvath,
Here.
Mrs. Sensi,
Here.
and Mr. Thompson.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move. A second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 7th, 2024?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any board members wishing to give a report this evening? I just wanted to comment that all of us attended commencement recently here in May, and it was very nice. I think Mr. Brady is to be commended. He did a great job, him and his team. Very kid focused there. We keep the speeches to a minimum and we focus on the kids, and so I think he did a good job. We appreciate that. What else? All right, we're going to move on to public participation. We have 6 people who have registered to speak this evening, so each of the folks will have 5 minutes to address the board. We ask that the speakers to be respectful. We'll do the same in return. They'll begin with their name and address. We do enforce the 5 minutes so that we are consistent amongst our speakers and in between our meetings. So our first speaker is Kelly Moss.
I don't think she knew she was approved because she's actually watching my children right now.
Okay, well, she was emailed along with anyone else who registered to let them know that they were. Next person is Pete Richmond.
Good evening.
You can state your name and address, please.
My name is Pete Richmond. Can I interrupt you? I'm sorry. If you want to be heard, if you can go to the middle table, so the microphone will pick up everything you're going to say.
I hate being up.
Sorry.
He's like, no.
Again, I'm Pete Richmond, 2145 Old Mill Road. For those of you who don't know, I own Richmond Insurance up on Hubbard Road. I've been here since 1963. I've had the pleasure of insuring the schools for a number of years, working with AJ Barr. Probably you might remember that name. And several of the principals and teachers throughout the system. I'm here plain and simple. I won't use 5 minutes of time. I hear Bill Mayer has applied for a job here. I highly recommend this guy. He has done a stupendous job from my outside looking in. That's all I'm going to say. Hire, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richmond.
Thank you.
Pamela Brimmer. You could state your name and address, please.
I'm Pam Brimer, 7591 Lake Road, Madison. I've lived in Madison 47 years. I've had 3 kids and a granddaughter graduate from Madison, and I have a great granddaughter starting kindergarten in the fall. I volunteered for over 40 years with the Madison school. I'm telling you this because I'm proud to be a Madison resident, and I'm mostly happy with Madison schools. We have great teachers and great staff. I'm here to support Bill Mayer also, and I'd like to have a show of hands from the audience of how many people are here to support Bill Mayer tonight. I'd also like to have a show of hands again if everyone here thinks that he is the best person for the kids, the staff, and the community. Thank you.
Kevin Clark. State your name and address, please.
Yeah, Kevin Clark, 2631 McMacken Road, obviously in Madison, Ohio. Three boys, various sports, grow up here in Madison. My wife's a teacher in the high school. I was class of 99, been a while since I've been in school, but also here to support Bill Mayer. I'd start with, I'm also on the Blue Stick Revitalization Committee and the Gridiron Club. It's been very positive. What we've been able to do with the Gridiron, working with Angela, communications have been really positive. So thank you guys for that. We've been working with you, but really here as well to support Bill Mayer. Sure many of you know I grew up with Bill, known him a long time, and that's not why I'm here. When you look at Bill, I think he brings endless amount of energy, at a point exhausting, right? Quite honest. But whenever we hire in the community, I think you got to bring the best athletes, whether that's a teacher, whether that's administrator, lunch person, janitor, etc. I think Bill's the right guy for the job, like I mentioned before. Don't make it a personal thing. Whatever's been done in the past, right? America, we're about opportunity. We're about giving people chances, second, third, fourth chances. We ask our kids all the time to go out and reach for those things. You might miss, you learn from them. And Bill will be the first one to tell you that he's made some mistakes along the way. And, my discussions with him recently is he's learned a lot, and will do a great job for the community. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya Holly.
Hi, it's Tanya Woolley, 1909 Perth Road. I have a few things that I would like to address with the board. My biggest one is the sewer smell before, during, and after lunch at the middle school. When questioning the ladies behind the desk about it, their reply was, "You get used to it." Absolutely not. That cannot be decoded and needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Is it in regards of your measures, or is that a health department category? How can the school district change a registered bus stop in the middle of the school year, whether that be the district or our bus garage? I'd like questions to that. I have contacted the superintendent or the supervisor at the Board of Education or the bus garage, as well as here at the Board of Education, with no answers or calls back. I understand that things are tough, and in the same concept, you have not had a consistent bus driver for our schools and our children since 2017, 2018 with Mr. Joe. I have heard of children smoking, drinking, and vaping on our school buses with all of our children present. I have had an incident with a bus driver who allowed my child onto the bus, and half a mile down the road, allowed that child off of the bus to go retrieve a cell phone that was dropped with no consequences produced to that person. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to make this quick. We have an amazing school system here, and I am really grateful for my children to be a part of the school system, which is why my husband and I purchased our house in 2011. It's not the same, and I'm not sure what exactly had changed. I don't know if that was Mr. Mayor who had left our school system. Oh, I lost my things. Don't get me wrong. I know that our teachers and our staffs are trying everything they possibly can, but from a parent that has had a multitude of kids that have been in and out of the school system, you can see when you walk into the front office that there's a disconnect. You can see that things are not a united front. And as a parent who has a child that did kindergarten this year, who's got a long time to go, and a child that does 8th grade, who's almost over with, I want the best of the best that I can have for my children. And that's why I bought the house in Madison. So I'm asking you guys, for whatever personal reason that you may not want to allow Mr. Mayor back, whether it be superintendent, whether it be assistant principal, a staff member, it doesn't matter. He brought us to be one, and it shows. He and Mr. Whaley, for the first time in 28 years, was able to get a school levy passed. We're all on board as parents because these are our children. They are in your possession. We are trusting you to give them the best education that they possibly can have. So Mr. Mayor teaming up with businesses to sponsor our children and to sponsor our schools was a big deal. And I know that financially that helped a lot with our school systems. I'm sure you can all agree on that. I ask that we allow him back into our school system with whatever personal reason you may have, set that aside for the better of our children. It reflects on our kids when they come home from when he was present to what had taken place with Mr. Baker. God rest, he heals well. And with Miss Solar stepping up, and I'm so proud that she got the position that she's in, and I know that she's got a lot on her plate and a lot to handle. But we need to come back as one. And you could see it when Mayor was here. North Elementary was sailors. They had rowed the boat. They were M&Ms at one point for the holidays. Nothing since then. And you can see the tiredness and the exhaustion. And I know that a lot of our staff members have their hands tied. They can only do so much with the limits that they have. So I do ask that you guys consider this. And at the end of the day, we as a community have to come together for the better of our children. They are our future. So we have to address that situation. And I also like somebody to address the middle school and the high schools. I'm not sure about high school. I'm not quite there yet. But for me as a parent, I don't want to have communication about what's happening with my children's school and what their teachers are doing through my child. Today, my oldest went on her AHLI field trip. I was supposed to be at the school at 1:15. I got there at 1:07 because I like to be persistent in my time. They didn't show up till 1:40. Nothing was contacted, nothing was released, no updates, no contacts, no phone was no nothing. That the bus had broke down and that they were going to run 30 minutes behind. Can somebody explain that to me? No.
We'll have somebody look into your concerns and get back to you.
I feel
About 30
like the
seconds.
adults need to adult and stop adulting through our children. They're kids. Let our kids be kids because they only have a short period of time. And as I'm sure you can all agree, adulting sucks. It's not fun. Thank you.
And finally, Maria Samsa.
Hi, I'm Maria Samsa, 1595 Kimball Drive. My name is Maria Samsa. My daughter attended North Elementary School while Mr. Mayer was principal. I'm here to show my support for the rehiring of William Mayer within the Madison School District. As part of the PTO and a room mother, I was able to see firsthand how important Mr. Mayer's impact was to each student. Mr. Mayer was actively involved with the students, the PTO, and attended many after-school activities on his own time. This was not just a job to Mr. Mayer. He truly wanted to help the students succeed. Not allowing Mr. Mayer an opportunity to return to the Madison School District would be a disservice to our community. There is no one who loves Madison and represents the values of a blue streak more than Mr. Mayer. As part of the PTO, we often had a hard time finding volunteers outside of the dedicated group that showed up 100%. Mr. Mayer has strong ties to the community and was able to rally groups of high school students to come and assist. His strong ties to the community also provided discounts, donations, and support to the PTO. Mr. Mayer was not only a principal, but you could also find him outside making repairs, cleaning out flower beds, or doing whatever was needed to be done to keep the school in a safe condition for the students. There was no task that was too small for him to assist with. Mr. Mayer has a huge impact on the students in Madison School District. I could not end this without mentioning the top hit, Two Cold Blue Streaks, which played in many of our houses for weeks after a snow day. In conclusion, I hope you will consider hiring Mr. Mayer. Our community and our children deserve to have the best, and Mr. Mayer is the best.
My name is Samantha Samsa. I will soon be in 8th grade at Madison Middle School. Mr. Mayer was the principal at Madison Elementary. When I went there, I thought he was one of the best principals, and I miss him and I want him to come back very much. Thank you.
All right, just a couple of quick things. So Miss Holly, you brought up, I don't know. Holy. Is it Holy? I apologize.
That's okay.
So we'll certainly look into your concerns and you'll hear back from somebody from the administration. I just want to have one point of clarification. I've heard this several times that folks have credited Mr. Mayer or others with the passage of that levy several years ago. That levy effort was led by Bob Dyack, who was the chair of the levy committee, along with Superintendent Smith during her volunteer time as well in the evenings. We had an executive committee that made the decisions on the messaging for that levy, designed the literature and went out and did all of those speaking engagements. And that just wasn't Mr. Mayer. We certainly appreciate the efforts that he put forward on his volunteer time as well. but that is just simply not how that happened. And so I wanted to provide that clarification.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm done. Go ahead.
I just want to second that. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Whaley were absolutely part of a team. And we appreciate their efforts. And they were a tremendous part of that team, but it was a team. And it was not, a campaign that was led by, either one of them. So I'm not sure where that assumption keeps coming from.
Nancy?
No, that was the public participation portion is over. So that was it. You have more?
I did have more. I just typically the board does not get involved in screening candidates when they apply. Because there is such a tremendous amount of information out there, whether it be accurate or inaccurate. We have been a little more involved in what we should normally are, because we typically are not involved in the screening process. I would say, in my personal opinion, and I cannot speak for this board, I will only speak for myself. Do I think that at this point in time, that particular candidate has a place in Madison right now? No, I don't. Do I think that there is, if he can prove himself in another district and perhaps in the future, there's something open at a higher grade level, then perhaps there may be something in the future for him. That is my own personal opinion. And again, I cannot speak for any other board member. There are, that's all I'm going to say at this point.
Anyone else want to make any statements? All right, so the next part of our meeting is reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. I would like to recommend the approval of the May 2024 financial statement.
Almost.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Sentry,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, I would like to recommend the approval of the following donations, and we do have several this evening. I would like to recommend the generous donation of $700 from Marissa and James Lappish, Madison High School, to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $250 from Fine Line Graphics to Madison High School National Honor Society Block Party. A generous donation of spray paint from Angela Smith to South Elementary to be used to decorate the rock. A generous donation to the Madison High School Angel Fund by the following individuals: Carly Grudel, Kristen Chavez, Denise Garvin, Sandra Carroll, Tina Ard, Gretchen Watkin, Crystal Thomas, Catherine Sampson, Mary Perez, Lisa Smith, Laura Rusnick, and Becky Smith. A generous donation of $500 from Madison Ministerial Association to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $1,000 from Madison Boosters to Madison High School Drama Club to be used as needed. A generous donation of $120 from Claudine Osborne to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $500 from Central Congregational Church to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $2,500 from an anonymous donor to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $325 from Joe Hudson to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $5,000 from Madison Boosters to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $522 from St. Anne's in the Fields to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. And a generous donation of several boxes of letter number stickers from Ward's Merchandise to South Elementary School to be used as needed.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thank you very much to the many people who made donations to the district. They're greatly appreciated. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion passes. And next, I would like to recommend the approval. This is the second step in just the renewal process for the resolution of necessity for the Lake School County Financing District. So I would like to recommend the approval of a resolution requesting the taxing authority of the Lake County School Financing District to submit the question of the renewal of an existing 4.9 mil tax levy for the purpose of the current expenses of the Lake County School Financing District to the electors of that district pursuant to section 5705.215 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Sarah, how many schools are part of that?
In that, we have Riverside, we have Madison, we have Perry, Mentor, no, not Mentor.
Painesville City.
Painesville City.
Yeah.
So there's the four of us then.
And the ESC is a part of it, and they coordinate
They coordinate?
the.
Is Fairport's not a part of it?
Okay. So it's based on everybody's voting, right? Of these four districts?
Yes.
Okay, so if one district doesn't vote for it, it doesn't, it's just the
majority.
numbers.
It's the majority.
So like Painesville, they have a lot more people. So if they vote for it, it doesn't really, I mean, if
If the majority vote.
it's the majority gets it, okay.
And for Madison particularly, we generate about $1.7 million.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right, so this is a renewal levy. So if this were passed, this is not a new tax or a tax increase. This has been on the books since the 80s or 90s,
Late 80s.
late 80s. And it generates the same amount for us that it would having, been when it was approved back then. So this is just putting this on the ballot as it'll be on the ballot in all of these other districts that folks mentioned, which was Madison, Perry, Riverside, and Painesville. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, I would like
You'd
to,
have to do.
oh, Mr. Horvath.
I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm here for.
After those donations. Next, and finally, I would like to recommend the resolution to provide insurance in lieu of the surety bond. This is typical. We've had this on the past several agendas at the time of year. It just requires board approval.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion. And that concludes the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Do we have anybody here from the Madison Library?
That would be. I can read it.
All right, go ahead.
So the next item is the Madison Public Library fiscal year 2025 tax budget. It is to approve the tax budget for the Madison Public Library and to adopt for the fiscal year 2025 as approved and recommended by the Madison Public Library Board of Trustees as found on file in the Treasurer's office. And authorize and direct the treasurer to submit the tax budget to the Lake County Auditor.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? So because the library board is appointed, they need an elected body to approve their tax budget. So we are the taxing authority and the folks that can appoint their board members. So we have to approve their tax budget. A tax budget is basically a placeholder budget that they put in place, send to the county auditor, and then they finalize their budget at a later time. So that's what we're doing here. Roll call, please.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
and Mrs. Lynch.
Yes.
Reports of the administrative team.
All right, I have one item this evening. I wanted to talk to you about our student success and wellness funds and our disadvantaged people impact aid fund. Every year for the last several years, we've gotten student success and wellness funds. We've gotten, that's my note. The disadvantaged people impact aid funds are a relatively new amount, and the state has us do various reports. This year, they are requiring us to present to the board our plan for how we use those funds, and how we then report on them. So the amount for the disadvantaged pupil impact aid funds is for this fiscal year is $150,000. Student success and wellness is $486,000. You have to partner with various local agencies. We partner with our Adams Board, the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve, the Lake County General Health District, and of course our Madison Village and Madison Township Police Departments. We use them in 6 core areas. School resource officers, serving students with academic and behavioral challenges. So sometimes we have to place students like at Crossroads for educational purposes so that they receive their mental health as well as their academic needs. So we partner with the Adams Board on that. We bring in Crossroads to provide additional support for our students, and that's specialized counseling that the students can receive to help them overcome whatever obstacles they are to succeed in school. We have a certified behavioral specialist that we use through the ESC that helps to develop behavior plans and provide support to teachers in those strategies. We are allowed to use it to offset our guidance counselors. And then we are definitely allowed to use it to provide our nursing services. And so that's where those dollars go each and every year and have since we've been receiving them.
So our portion is how much?
Our portion for student success and wellness is $486,841.71 to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And the disadvantaged pupil impact aid is $150,404.93.
And that's how much we're getting from both of these.
Yes. And it's part of our foundation payment that we receive every month. So it's just when you have to report on it, and they changed the reporting window this year. Usually you don't have to report on it until August. They've changed it to June 30th. And we said we need to share that plan. So
By foundation payment, I mean state dollars.
yes, the
that are-
state money that we receive every month. Any other questions on that? Dave, did you have anything that you want to talk about?
All right, well, we kicked off our summer program yesterday, so that was really exciting. Few little snafus, but that is to be expected. I had a few questions. You know, we started this a few years ago when we had COVID, and then the money from the government, and then trying to kind of restore some of the services that the kids lost. And so in the last couple of years, we've really tried to target students that were recommended by teachers that might be struggling, not necessarily that need extended services, but it was a program that we kind of cut into 2. So social emotional, so a leadership camp, and then academic support. And so there was some question, it wasn't just open, we didn't, there's no money or anything exchanged, but it was really by teacher recommendation so that students who were kind of struggling have the opportunity. And again, I can't say enough about our fantastic staff. I talk about them all the time, and they really are rallying. I'm on a group text that everybody's working at all hours of the day, kind of sharing ideas. So we are really, really fortunate to have this program, and the kids you know, it's free hugs. Like this is, I remember what it was to be a teacher. And so I'm like, oh, I secretly, I'm like, this is great. And so I got to take some walks and stuff yesterday. So it was nice. One thing I'm proud to report right now, but I'm probably jinxing it, is that I only have one staff position to fill. And that's for occupational therapist. And that's going to be a tough one because there's such a, yes, please knock on wood, because usually I'm struggling, but it is early, so I'm not going to jinx. But finding an OT is usually pretty hard. And we've had to outsource it before. Hopefully this year we'll be able to get somebody actually on our staff. And then finally, this is my 4th year. And so I created a teacher survey just about the special education program and trying to see what areas the general education teachers felt, you know, was strong, what were our strengths, what were some of our weaknesses. And so it's at the end of the school year. So I'm hoping to get some replies, but to use that to plan for next year. And then I created another survey for our related services and our intervention specialists to see where they're at. Because, you know, again, I'm trying to plan, you know, so many things have happened, changed, you know, with laws, and then just the, you know, the population of students who have needs that go above and beyond, and then just trying to find ways to support them. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on how that is. Hopefully it's I didn't ask anything personally about me, so hopefully I won't, you know, I'll have some good things to say, and then areas to work on. So that's all I got.
Jen, how many students are in this program?
We had just under, I think it was 100 students. They're all in different programs too. So
Okay.
I pretty much do, now we're probably closer to 200 when we add up.
200? Now, are they in different?
camp too.
Right, so we have, yeah, so simultaneously. So we have, also this year was really exciting. We were able to offer middle school. So last year there wasn't really an interest. And so this year I had a great group, Mr. Dragus, Mrs. Dragus, Mrs. Morse, Shelby Seibert, and
What hours do they go on?
yeah, it's 9 to 12.
9 to 12?
And so, yeah, we have it. So kindergarten through 8th grade, and then actually high school, they have reinforcement. So anybody,
At their buildings?
Mhm, yeah.
So at the high school or middle school and then,
right. So all of the programs, kindergarten through 8th grade, are at the middle school.
okay.
And that building has air conditioning. So,
Okay.
and then we have the high schoolers who are doing credit recovery. And then we have students who are English language learners, so they have their camp. So they're in a separate. And then we also have students that were recommended for AWT, which is STEM. It's a STEM camp. So then we
Alliance
have
for
them.
working together.
Yeah, so.
This is awesome. You know, this
Yes,
is just
it's-
one more thing that is going well to help
Mhm.
out people and, you know, catch them up wherever they need. Great job. Thank you.
Well, we
Thank
have
you.
great staff. I mean, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do it without staff, so
Great job.
it's great to work with them.
Ready?
All right, under my recommendations this evening, we're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. And you'll understand why the entering in is before the resignations in a little bit. To employ Michael Yentz as a second shift custodian at Madison High School, effective May 20th, 2024. And to employ a file of the substitute teachers approved by the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve under the Madison Local School District under a 1-year limited substitute teacher license for the 23-24 school year. Caden Tinner. The following persons as casual day-to-day substitutes: Jonathan Conrad, Ocean Gray, Logan Grau, Alyssa Grierson, Samara Massive, Nick Moretti, and Rachel Pridemore. Employ Alessandra Germ as an assistant band director at Madison High School and Middle School under a 1-year limited contract effective the 2024-25 school year. to employ Heather Ickes as an intervention specialist at North Elementary School under a one-year limited contract effective the 2024-25 school year. The following non-certificated persons under a one-year limited personal service contract for the 2024-25 school year. Steve Swarnarski, head boys soccer coach. Then we're asking you to accept the resignation of Lori Silva, South Elementary School Educational Assistant Playground, effective May 24, 2024. And to accept the resignation of Michael Jens, second shift custodian at Madison High School, effective May 21st, 2024. That's the employment.
I'll move.
A second.
Any discussion?
You notice a lot of those names are some of our students that
Yes.
are currently.
Yes.
Yeah, and I noticed that we have a custodian that lasted one day, guys.
Just didn't quite, I guess, figure out what the work was gonna be. I don't know. But that's why we reversed the employment. Motion.
I just wanted to comment that Steve Swinarski being appointed as our head voice coach. He's been involved in the community leagues here in Madison for many years. He's done a very good job there. He coached my son many years ago, and he really does a good job.
He's been the assistant coach for several years as well, I think.
He's a great
5 years,
guy.
Yeah.
He's very talented.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes,
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
All right, and the next motion is to employ the following person as a casual day-to-day substitute, Nathaniel Thompson.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes,
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
I'll abstain. I'm abstaining from that one. Except to say that
gonna work more than one day.
he is working more than one day. He's loving it. I'm not loving getting him up at 6:30 to get up here in the morning, but he's enjoying it over at North and everything. He's enjoying cleaning over there.
All right. We have multiple retirement resolutions on the agenda this evening. And I'm just going to read the first line of every resolution. Martha Gale has been a dedicated and faithful teacher in the Madison Local School District and positively affected the lives of hundreds of students for the past 34 years. We have one for Joni Niles, who has been a dedicated and faithful servant of the Madison, faithful teacher in the Madison Local School District and affected the lives of hundreds of students for the past 17 years. Kathy Tepley has been a dedicated employee of the Madison Local Schools for the past 27 years and served hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meals to our kids. And Doug Baker, although he's only been in Madison 4 years, has had a long career in this area and other states and affected so many lives. And those are our retirement resolutions this evening.
I'll move. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Joni Niles is here this evening, so, congratulations. Joni.
I just want to say I wish them all a very happy retirement. It is well deserved. I know Martha Gale personally, and she is a wonderful woman. And has been everybody's grandma for the longest time. And Miss Niles, I've never met you before, but I have heard wonderful things about you. I have. So I'm sure your retirement is also well deserved, and I hope you enjoy it. And then Kathy Tepley, being a lunch lady, she sees every single student that comes through that school. So, and she has been around for a long time. And, it's hard for us to find people that are willing to do these jobs and stay in these jobs now. So they're all going to be missed. And of course, Mr. Baker, I do wish him well. And I hope all of you have just wonderful next several golden years.
Congratulations. Roll call, please.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
All right, this next item, board policy update. This is the first reading. We usually do this a couple times a year. And in June, we take the second semester updates and look to have them in place for the start of the new school year. So this is the first reading. And these are all just updates. There's no new policies that are attached.
Mhm. And I think you also need to point out or let people know that these are not updates that we don't just sit around and say, okay, we're going to change the wording of this. These are updates that come to us as recommendations based upon the ORC. And what company is it again that we use? NOLA. Okay, NOLA. So these are not recommendations that we choose. These are the things that that company is going to, or that organization recommends to all boards of education, not just Madison.
I don't even think you need a motion in a second. I think just the first reading, but we've done that in the past
Yeah.
without a vote.
Okay.
All right, and then in the consent calendar this evening, we have just a few items to approve the contracts between Mentor exempted village schools, the CARES program, and Madison local schools to provide extended school year services for the 23-24 school year, to approve the DPI and Student Success and Wellness Fund plans for the 23-24 and 24-25 school years, to approve a transportation agreement between the Madison local schools and educational alternatives for students for the 24-25 school year, and to approve an out-of-state field trip for the IM leadership students to Deer Park, Jamestown, PA on June 26th, 2024, at no cost to the students.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so the next portion is where we will move into executive session. That's where the board is able to meet privately only about select few things under the law. Today, that'll be basically for personnel matters and labor negotiations. So do we have a motion to move into executive session for
I'll move.
purposes of appointment, employment? Can we get through
He's
it?
got
I gotta read it.
why.
Appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals, and preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees. Did we have a motion and a second?
In the motion on the second.
Roll call?
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes. We will not be conducting any business when we return from executive session. We'll simply be adjourning. So we stand in recess.